Godot, one of the most popular game engines that has been used over the years by developers young and old. Even the most recently popular Slay the Spire 2 game was made with Godot, believe it or not. But when it comes to tutorials, most of them are just too long, and they don't explain things directly to the viewers of today's society. So I figured I'd make some tutorials that is just as direct and straight to the point, as it is simple and short enough for the occasion. And this time around, we're making a simple space shooter just like this one. First off, let's make some inputs for our game. Go to the Project tab here and click Project Settings. In this window, locate the tab labeled Input Map. Click that and you'll see this. To make new actions, use this text box and name the action you want. Then hit Enter or this Add button right here and it's now added to the list. To add a button or keyboard key of choice into the action, hit this plus button here and pick whatever key or controller button you want. And you can add more than one to the action. Now the first thing we need for the game is our spaceship. So select the root node and click the add button right here and we'll add a character body 2D. This body 2D node is used for all sorts of 2D games for the player characters, from platformers to top-down shooters. We're going to put it right here, then we're going to add a collision shape 2D and make it a rectangle. Now we're going to add a sprite 2D node, and we're going to take our spaceship PNG and put it right here in the sprite's texture box. Now to add a script to our player, make sure it's selected, then click this button right here to add the script to the player. Now when you add a script to a node, some will have a template just like this one. In this little template script, we're going to delete the parts involving the gravity, leaving the left and right direction inputs, and we're just going to swap out the default input actions with our custom made ones, and I'm just going to use the scaling right here in the sprite 2D node to make the spaceship a little bigger, and everything works well, but there's one slight problem. There's no walls, meaning the player can just like fly off the screen whenever. To fix that, we just need to add a static body 2D and add a collision shape, make it a rectangle, and we'll make it the length of the window, duplicate it to make a second wall on the right, and now the player won't fly off the screen anymore. Now we just need a laser for the spaceship to shoot. So we make a new scene, and the root node this time around is going to be an area 2D. The reason why will come later on in this video. Then add a collision shape 2D, make it a capsule, add a sprite 2D node, and add the laser PNG to the texture box. Then we just position the sprite in a collision shape like this. In the script, we only need a physics process function. Then we type in position.y minus equals 10. This pretty much determines on how fast we want the laser to be. Then below that, we type if global position.y is less than or equal to -10, then type in Q free. This is to prevent any type of lag if you plan to spam the lasers, especially if you're just trying to playtest for whatever possible. And check it out, the laser moves just as intended. And now to add it to the ship. With the player selected, we're going to add a node 2D to it, and we're going to name it Laser Gun. Just position it right here at the top of the sprite, and in the script, we just type in var laser and make a preload and add in the laser scene. Now we just need to make a process function and type if input.isAction just pressed and then insert the fire action. Then we type var instance equals laser.instantiate. Then below that, we type in instance.global position equals laser gun global position, just like this. Then we type getParent.addChild instance. And now we have a working laser gun for the spaceship. Now all that's left is to make the enemies and the enemy bullets. Now for the bullet, it's basically the laser, just the complete opposite. And we just make a copy paste of the script right here and make the adjustments just like this. And boom, we got a working bullet. Now for the enemies, we just need them to be in area 2D, and we're going to make the collision shape a circle this time. And this time we're going to be adding an animated sprite 2D node. With that node selected, locate the animation tab on the right side and you'll find a box labeled sprite frames. Click that, then click new sprite frames. Click that box again, and this right here is where the magic happens. Now we already have an animation labeled default, and that's what we're going to be using, given the fact it's just one animation. To add the frames, you just click this button right here, locate your sprite sheet, and you should be able to see this window. On the upper right, you'll see horizontal and vertical, which defines how many rows and columns there are in your sprite sheet. Now you just put in the numbers, select your frames, and here I'm going to copy paste the first frame and put it into the third position right here. Now in the script, we add var bullet timer, and under that, we type in var bullet, and we just make this a preload and add in bullet scene. In the ready function, type randomize, then we're going to type in bullet timer equals randy, and we put in the percentage sign right here. Then we type in 120 plus 61. This code randomizes the number for the timer the second second the game starts, and the reason being is in the process function. In said function, we type if bullet timer is less than or equal to 0, then we just type in the exact same thing in the ready function, then underneath that, we just type in the instantiation coding for the bullet, but this time you type instance.globalPosition equals self global position. Then we type in an elif statement underneath and check to see if the timer is greater than 0, and in that, we type bullet timer minus equals 1. And this makes the timer count down by frames, and every time it hits 0, the timer refreshes and the bullet is unleashed. Now there's a couple more things to do before the game is finished. First, we're going to give the player an area 2D as a child node, then make the collision shape a capsule, and adjust it like so. With the area 2D selected, in the collisions tab on the right, you'll see layer and mask. These are used for all sorts of collision physics, with layer acting as a name tag, and the mask being the lookout for objects with certain name tags of your choice. Now, we'll be using 1 for the player and lasers, and 2 for the enemy and bullets. Now here's what I did for the game. Feel free to pause so you can copy it. Next, with the Area 2D still selected, go to the Node tab and locate Area Entered. Double-click it, then connect that signal to the script. Then, in this function, just type in Q free. Do the same thing to the laser, bullet, and enemy assets. Now, one thing I failed to mention beforehand is that you need to toggle this autoplay function in the animated sprite 2D node in the enemies, which activates the animation the second the game starts. And now, the enemies and enemy bullets will disappear whenever they get hit, and the player and lasers will disappear whenever they get hit. Now, 4 isn't enough, which is why I made this little armada right here, and we're going to do one last thing. First, we're going to add another character body 2D node to the mix, and we're going to make this an enemy container. Place the node right here at the center, make the collision shape a rectangle, and stretch it all across the armada like so. Then, we're going to take all the enemies and make them children nodes of this container, like so. In the enemy script, you can type in getParent twice, just like this, just so the bullets don't stick to the container's X position. Weird piece of coding, I know. Now we just attach the template script to the enemy container node, take away the gravity code, and in the physics process function, spare only the line that reads velocity.x equals direction times speed. And above that, type if is on wall, then type direction equals direction times -1. And we just set the speed to 100, and there we have it. A simple space shooter game, complete at last. That just about does it for this tutorial. Now, if there's any questions you want to ask about this tutorial, feel free to comment below. And if you liked what you saw, be sure to like and subscribe for more, because I'll be more than happy to do more tutorials. And with that, I'm going to log out for today, and I hope to see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.